Basement Hunter here. This is part 5 of the Candelabra tutorials. In part 4 I showed how to design the arm in Fusion 360 and saved it as an STL file. So in part 5 I'd like to pick up from there and pull the STL file into PrusaControl 3D printing software, where we can take that STL file and convert it into a G-code file so the 3D printer can recognize the code and print it. This sounds so much more complicated than it actually is. The process only takes a few minutes and it's extremely easy, anyone can do it. I have a Prusa Mark 2.5 printer, and the software I'm using to make the G-code is a free program called PrusaControl, and it's downloadable from the Prusa website. Okay, so let's get started. We launch the program and the screen looks like this. To get started, I simply grab the STL file and drag it into the program. Before you can do any edits, you have to highlight the part, so clicking on it turns it orange, and now you can do the edits on the right hand side of the screen. The first thing I want to do is change the rotation of the part so it lays flat on the bed. Much better. The next setting is the material. I pretty much leave cheap ABS filament loaded on the printer all the time. Very seldom do I print in other types of filament, so I choose generic ABS for the material. This selection makes the quality jump up to normal, which is fine for what the part is. Infill at 20% is fine. That setting determines how much infill the printer is going to put in the middle of the part as it's printing. The lower the number, the less infill. The first time I made up the G-code, I tried to print without any support material. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough material to hold it to the bed, and it left loose before it finished printing the part. So I went back in and turned the brim on and chose the setting only from build plate on the support. This builds up around the base so it has more area adhering to the bed, giving it less chance of letting loose. The orange line represents the part. This is the only thing that was printing in my first version, so it wasn't enough material to hold to the bed. Now it has support around it represented by the green, and the outer white is the brim giving even more support. I haven't had any issues since printing with support, though it takes longer and wastes more plastic. The next step isn't mandatory, but I like pulling the part close to the front of the bed. Not sure why, but that's what I do with all parts. Finally, I generate the code and then save it. Now I have a G-code file I can save to an SD card, insert it into the printer and print. The printed part needs to have the support plastic cleaned off the bottom. After pulling off the thin layers, using a Dremel and then sandpaper makes it round, like the rest of the part. This is going to work great to push the wires through. It will be interesting to see how the glue holds everything together at the end. I think that's going to be it for this part. Bye for now.